becomes an actual thing.
I didn't stand maybe a week.
We could stand for the pledge. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so we're a few minutes behind schedule starting tonight, but it's no big deal. 6:04.
6:04
is our start time. Welcome, everybody. Long time no see. We'll start by approving the minutes for September 4th. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
I second.
David, second. All in favor? Aye. So moved. Thank you. The community forest follow-up, did we get anywhere with that?
I sent out what we had done previously, and we did not move forward. Like previously, it was just a memo of kind of what we were thinking about and what resources we might look at. And I did not hear back.
I know, it was a busy month, wasn't it?
I didn't also have a specific ask.
Correct.
So
We
shared
really haven't, yeah. So I think this next month, we'll have a specific ask of reviewing and coming up with a game plan on that. Does that sound good?
Yes, I had felt like during the meeting last time we started to talk about it, there was some indication, maybe from Leslie, that there was something else we might look at or might hold off on.
Yeah. I agree. We'll look at it. And let me review what we discussed last time as well. All right. And then also thank you, Shannon, for helping with the fall leaves little blurb that we put on the website with the scientific factual information. I'm not sure how many people have reviewed it online, but at least we have something out there very similar to our most May thing. Did you see that?
Yeah, we saw it, and it's interesting because it came up as part of our discussion with, we had a Climate Smart Communities meeting this last week, and Genevieve saw the fall thing and said, you know, the town and village seem to be in conflict in terms of how you should be disposing of leaves. So it ended up being a topic on our
cool.
on our
What did y'all decide?
We decided we weren't. That was
We weren't what?
in conflict, right? Like, so we decided that the village is picking up leaves, but they're composting them. They're not burning them any longer.
Right.
So
yeah, that's essentially it, but it's not, it's being
Right.
done by Woodrock. We used to bring them to a site by the old state up the
Mhm.
road, and they got put in a burn pile along with all the brush and everything else. We've been bringing them for probably decades, and they cut that off with the new owners saying, no, you can't do that anymore.
Right.
So we ended up in an agreement with Tim Ray saying he would be happy to take the leaves and he's going to turn them into a composting situation where he eventually can sell the soil.
Yes.
So we have an
That's
improvement.
nice.
We
Yeah.
have an improvement from
Yeah.
what was.
Which is
an
good.
old system.
I spoke to Tim about that a little bit, so that's good that he's
Yeah,
doing that
so
with the
that's, so
village.
that's an improvement.
Cool. And does the village pick up in the spring as well? Or
brush.
they just do
Brush.
brush, not leaves?
We do, the schedule is as follows, is that basically we pick up brush from the beginning of April until the beginning of May. Then we take a breather, then something we in the past have picked up more than once over the summer. This past year, we picked up once in September, and it was strictly brush
Mhm.
or whatever. And of course, we pick up storm damage as necessary throughout the year. And then the final yard waste that we pick up is Christmas trees, and we did have a system. I've got to check out to see if it's still in place, where we sent them to a farm where the trees were then used as roosting areas for a bird variety. I'm not sure which peacock something they were being used, as opposed to being burned or chopped up for mulch or whatever.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's still a valid disposal method for us or not. I'm gonna find out.
All right, yeah, cool. Thank you.
But I think that Millbrook School can use a limited number. of
Yeah, I think they do.
Christmas trees
Yeah,
that they put in the cages for the animals to climb on.
yeah, the animals,
And
different
shelter
animals, yeah.
or Whatever.
Yeah, I have no idea what the average number is we pick up in a given year and how many we would then be able to turn over someplace else. But, you know, we are one of the pledge elements or pledge actions we're actually trying to be able to get credit for the fact that we pick up yard waste for approximately 6 out of the 12 months of the year when you put all those things together.
Mhm.
And, you know.
And those of us in the Doom Tree will appreciate it.
Thank you.
We all appreciate that. All righty, Howard,
Okay,
can we,
I'm assuming everybody got this in the
we
email?
did,
Your
yes.
summary, yes.
Well, it's limited to stuff that happened at those meetings that might pertain to us,
Mhm.
other things that go on.
Yep.
And if you want to see the whole thing, they are on the Zoom. They even got the planning board meeting on today at some
Oh,
point.
wow. Oh, good.
Good.
So as usual, the clear people talked a lot. So if you want to get all the details,
Mhm.
I don't have them all here. But it is in there.
Yep.
So that's a very good thing. All right. The town planning board first. This had some odd, oh, you got it up there. I'm going to give you a copy.
No, I've got it. Thank you.
Anybody would
I've
like
got
a
it.
copy?
I've got it too.
I have it, thank you.
Town planning board had something unusual happening. Nobody knows quite how it happened. They had a group presenting for humanity of some sorts, and they made a nice presentation. And when they were over, somehow the Zoom meeting shut off. So the whole
Is that,
rest of the meeting is not on Zoom.
sorry, Howard, is that the planning board or the town?
Town,
board?
this is
The
this
town
is the
board.
first one,
All
town
right.
board.
Yep.
And there were a couple of interesting things that happened at that meeting. The resignation of Leslie Heaney, board member Leslie Heaney, announced resignation as of November 1st due to the fact that she will not be able to meet residency requirements. I think she's moving to Tennessee. Leslie, as you know, is our CAC liaison for one thing, and is active in the climate smart community and other things. So she will be, missed as far as what she's been doing is along the same lines that we're working. The other interesting thing, remember we talked about the CAC budget line.
Mhm.
Well, Leslie instructed the town clerk to re-add it back in. I double checked today, it is back in. So we will have a budget line again. And I think it's going to be 1,500. I'm not sure what it's going to be. But we've always had a budget line, well, more or less. David used to do a lot of things and use that budget line sporadically. And what we don't use goes back into the general fund for next year. So it's not exactly lost money if we don't use it. And it would be very nice, if we wanted, for example, on the clear thing. I don't know how the rest of you feel about it. Some of that is actually outside my field of expertise, quote unquote. And you need a specialized person to look at some of that, what they're doing. They have a very good staff, by the way, working on their side of it. And even though we have a wetlands administrator looking at it, we have the AKIF people looking at it, they really, in my opinion, I don't know how the rest of you feel, would need a specialist to look at that project and determine some of the things that may be the best way to use that project. At $1,500, it's come in handy if you get somebody to come and tell us, what would be the best way to proceed. All right, now, below that, you have local law number 2024. I'm not sure what number it's going to be. They didn't give it a number. This is the heading on it. It's code clarification for, I guess it's going to be E-codes or something like that, and they made changes. Now, over there, I gave it to Pam, because Pam likes to read and is a lawyer and understands this stuff as well, is what they handed out to the public. If you wanted to look at what they did.
So the
It's
idea,
almost a ream of paper.
so the idea is to compare this, it's not
That's,
marked.
so I've asked for a redacted version, which I assume you're all familiar with, and why isn't there one available? The town attorney said it would be, that was representing the town, so, that would be kind of difficult to do, but he's going to work on it.
Well, I mean, that, it's kind of, be a lot easier if there were a marked copy, because basically it's, citizens would need to create their own copy to understand what was going on.
Nobody except very few could ever read that and say, this is what they changed.
But you'd have to sit down with the new
So,
copy.
Yeah, you'd be
Copy.
sitting
But for
playing back
people
and
working
forth.
on this, which would probably be you, because you're the most capable to do these things, that's the printed version.
Okay, that's
And
helpful.
it may be online as well. I think it is online,
Yeah.
sort of. I thought you might like
I mean, I
that.
could, yeah, I mean, I really could start doing the comparison. It's not that hard to do.
Well, it must be 1,000 pages or 500 pages there.
What was the goal of the town law change?
They said it was probably for the E-code or something.
So
I'm
to
quite
get it,
clear about
to put
that.
it
To put it
online,
online,
to
okay.
put the E-code online,
Yeah,
there are many mistakes in the original code. And to do it, they are just trying to go through and fix the mistakes and adjust any.
and there might be some
anything.
change. Remember we had this business
Yeah,
going
we
on
did
with
have
the
it.
There were a
wetland
couple,
law?
there's a couple of things that are worded that they didn't like the wording necessarily, and they're trying to
Not all of
adjust.
this is going to pertain to, zoning or the kinds of things that we're concerned with. So it would not be that hard to do the compare for,
All right.
for.
And you would have a hard copy that you could thumb through.
So did they have a timeline when they're going to adopt this? I mean, will we have a
That
chance
was
to
one of my-
comment on it?
Own personal questions. I don't recall when maybe some of you do, when they said they were going to actually officially do this. It just sort of appeared. They may have said so. As I remember it, not anybody can change the code. Sometimes
No,
I
they've got to
wonder
go,
why
They
it
have to go through.
has to go
public
through the town. Only the town board can change the code.
and even then it needs
And then it
state,
still has to.
state approval, right?
It has to go through all the
Yeah,
whole
it has
bunch
to
of
go through the
steps.
process.
But the goal of getting it, our code onto E code is a very good one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, many municipalities or peer towns have got their codes online and it'll just be better for everybody.
Nothing wrong with E-code. The village has E-code, right, Mike?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that you do.
I think you do,
I
Yeah,
think
you
the village has E-code.
yeah.
Most
I
places
read
do.
it, but
I was gonna say, I read this, I read
I
what
read
I
it.
get, but I don't go back
Yeah.
and double check to see if it's E-code or.
yeah, it's the
whatever.
E-code system.
It's really designed for the public because it zeroes in on specific things a person might want to look at in the code.
Mhm.
They type it in and it comes up. All right, so that's basically
So-
what
so
I have for the
I'll-
planning board.
What I'll do by the next meeting is go through this and check the areas that are of concern to us and make sure that there weren't any substantive changes and that we agree with what the changes are,
Yeah.
our main area.
I didn't check it, but what came to mind to me, I remember the zoning, the wetlands law.
Yeah,
They wanted to change substantive to significant,
yeah, I mean,
things like that.
things like that, which would be a concern.
Yeah.
And not just fixing.
All right, so anybody else have anything? Because hopefully you had a chance to watch some of these Zoom meetings, maybe, that you'd like to add, on this one, the town board. Okay. ZBA, this is Frank Rettel. John Parisi has resigned, retired, not resigned, retired. And Frank Rettel, who's been there for a while, and the lawyer, took over. He's now the chair. This was the shortest meeting of all the meetings I've ever gone to. That's quite a few of them. And one interesting emerged. The announcement was that the Yargod Article 78 was ruled in favor of the ZBA. So Mr. Yargott could build his swimming pool if he wanted to, because all the variances they gave him for that were approved. However, sitting next to me was a person I didn't recognize, turned out to be a representative of Josh Mackey's law firm. And he was there because Alan Rapelier had decided to file, not decided, is going to file, no doubt, an appeal to the Article 78. So it looks like Mr. Yargott said, I'm going to file a new application to Mackey for a smaller version of my swimming pool plans. And because the other person, Alan Rappley is involved, so there's two lawyers again. So this looks like a way around the appeal. The Alan Rappley, who is representing the Argos, will withdraw the appeal of the Article 78 challenge and save a lot of money. These things, I assume, are expensive. I imagine, this is off the top of my head, that a good $50,000 or more has already changed hands in this. Do all of that. So that was over within 5 minutes or less. It's on again on the Zoom. One thing about the people doing the Zoom, they get it out pretty quickly. I always look at it on YouTube. It's on YouTube a little faster than the town website. And you can simply subscribe to it, and it pops up all the time then when you get something. All right, planning board. This is the kind of interesting one. There was two things. There was one from Mr. Safari, who has an interesting property that was it wants to change some driveway. It's a non-conforming property. It's somewhat environmentally sensitive. Years ago, there was a stream that got buried on it, but that's a long time ago. And the reason I bring it up, it's a precedent-setting sort of thing. If other people can do the same, because when you have a large parcel which is pre-approved, and you want to go to the road, these parcels are supposed to have 1.5 times the acreage of the zone for that point, because they don't have enough road frontage. They just have flag lots. So he has several flag lots that he's moving around. They're all non-conforming. Everything on that property is non-conforming under present law, except perhaps a couple that may be over an acre, and they may have front 100. I think it's 100 feet for that zone. I'm not sure. It could be 200 feet for that zone on the road. Almost all of them don't have that. So he's moving around several lots. The next thing that's coming up is they're probably going to build on it. I'm assuming, my own opinion, he wouldn't be spending all his money doing that at this point if he didn't have a customer or two coming along. So we may or may not have to look at those, because they are going to be dense housing there compared to what's in the rest of the town. And it could be an environmental, man-made environmental thing. Don't know yet what they're going to do with that. All right. Now, the majority of that meeting, which I wrote down here for us, was that this was just a little background what's going on for the future. The clear application. The gist of this is that in spite of all of the stuff that we've sent in so far, we're only at the stage where they're deciding whether to do a cluster or to do a conventional subdivision, which is what's going to come up at the next meeting. The town attorney said this is just the first step, so there's going to be more things going on at that. The CAC, they have our letters. They publicly announced they have the CAC letters. They publicly also announced the CAC will be asked for an opinion on whether the cluster or the conventional subdivision would be acceptable. None of the people who are neighbors and have an interest in it want clustering. I think it might be worth our time to talk a little bit about clustering, however, because it's in the law for a reason.
Yes,
A lot of towns have them in their code, so there must be a reason why it's there. It's in our code as well, so that's basically What I wrote in here is notes for us to look at. The architect talked for several minutes or more as to why it should not be a cluster, because that's what the person she's representing wants. He wants to do a conventional subdivision. So presenting in a logical manner, both sides, but if you listen carefully, the owner wants to do a conventional subdivision, and the presentation was, again, in my opinion, skewed toward that. So we, the CAC, are going to have to send something in again. Don't have to, but could send something in here because they asked for CAC input. And only on this fact, if I got it correct, it's only on this factor for next meeting, but they may do other things at the same meeting. So I have to talk about it. And we did send in some things already there, and that may come up again at the next meeting. I am fairly sure, in my own mind at least, that nobody is going to favor the cluster. So we should be kind of prepared to say something about, building envelopes and what is a building envelope. I couldn't find a good definition in the zoning code.
Yeah, it's not something that's a common concept in New York State zoning law.
Our zoning code, if I have it correct, says you allow 10% of the acreage that you have, something like that, for the building envelope. I have to double check that, but it doesn't say something in the code, but it doesn't say where the building envelope is, what exactly can go in the building envelope. It's a little vague. And from what I've seen on that property, there's a lot of very sensitive environmental things which other people who have that property may not care about, but we should be aware of that and care about. There's the bog turtle. There's the Indiana bat. There's a great deal of a wetland environment in the property.
And the cluster subdivision concept was designed to protect all of that, to have the buildings in one particular area.
Yeah, I didn't say anything at that meeting, by the way.
But that's what it's there for.
So we discuss it.
Yeah.
We didn't say something.
But I think our letter, basically says that the cluster subdivision has got these objectives to preserve environmental features, and as long as those same objectives can be achieved through a conventional subdivision, then there wouldn't be a problem. The issue is that you would need to restrict the land usage and the conventional subdivision, and that's something that our letter would recommend, that there be permanent conservation easements.
Permanent.
And if that's done, then you kind of have the same effect as the cluster subdivision. So
In perpetuity is the word I was thinking of.
yeah, in perpetuity. So I think we've already said that, right?
I thought we did.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the word that we want to emphasize.
I'm not sure if there's anything more for us to say on that point.
Well, the only other thing with the in perpetuity idea is that somebody at the plan, not anybody from our side, but maybe the lawyer, somebody said that the planning board does not have to approve subdivisions. There's not a requirement that if somebody comes in with a subdivision, or that the planning board has to entertain it. They always do, but somebody had mentioned that.
That it's not a right of.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they don't have to, I mean, the planning board can just say no. I mean, they don't have to approve anything. Cluster, conventional, they just say no.
I have a question. You said that there was no local neighbor support for the
Uh,
cluster.
What did I say? All of the neighbors were in favor. Oh, for cluster.
They were all in favor of
Favor.
cluster, okay.
No.
Nobody spoke for the cluster
Nobody
of the
spoke
half
for it.
dozen
No, wait,
people.
they would like to see conventional.
They would like to see conventional. Why?
This is why I said in the end note, you please watch the Zoom meeting for the final, the finesse of the detail that the architect explained the case. It's sort of like, this is the type of neighborhood that we live in, and, we don't want to see anything that looks more like a
Okay.
housing development or so on, they would be like 1 acre zones and houses would be all stuck together.
It was the
That's all
perception
true.
of how it would look.
Yeah, but it's only
Okay.
gonna be like 5 acres out of 95 acres.
Right, I'm just,
No, I'm
just trying to
saying,
clarify. Yeah, I get.
nobody spoke, because I don't think they understand what a cluster subdivision does actually. It protects the rest of their environment, depending on how it's worded.
And local neighbors came and spoke. I will try and watch it, but I have not. Local neighbors came and spoke in favor of the conventional.
Yes,
Okay.
every
'Cause
person who spoke, and even the planning board members spoke in favor of it. One being Richard Phelps and the other being Andy, what's his name, just resigned, Spence.
Andrew Spence.
And he resigned, and but at the last meeting, the meeting before this one, they were adamant about not having a cluster, the two of them, more so than the rest of the members on the board.
But there were like local
Nobody
neighbors
on
that
the-
came and spoke.
Nobody, planning board or neighbors spoke in favor or asked about how would the cluster help us. They would just, no, we don't want that. So when you listen to it, you'll see that cluster was not well received by any of the people present there. The person who was the architect for Mr. Clear did a very nice job, by the way, of sort of presenting both sides, but kind of leaned more toward why the conventional was better. You know, if she was very capable, she could have done it the other way too. She came and spoke with us, and I think that was my opinion when she came here as well, that they have a very capable representation for that project. So that's about it. I can't. Any questions? We got the letters. Pam's taking care of the letters. We've all seen them.
We just need to approve the letter dated September 18 draft. letter.
Yes, we should. That one.
Okay, are we going to, go ahead, do that first.
No, go ahead. Ask your question.
Are we going to do anything with presenting the case for clustering to them? You know, for the next meeting, before the next meeting. And by the way, I think they said we have to follow that do we have to follow that 2-week rule? Or we're not an applicant.
No, we don't technically follow that. No, we're not an applicant, so it's just that rule is for the applicant.
All right.
So we had the September 4th letter.
This is
and
the
you said there's
September 4th, and then we had the second one was updated.
Right.
Which I.
But it was the same,
It's-
mostly the similar. Did either of them? They both said something about cluster.
No,
they don't say anything about the.
The September 18 does not. That talks about the water map.
Because of the,
Okay.
Oh, I left out something after we finished discussing this, because that was said at the meeting. Put it in.
you can talk
Village
now.
town.
All right. Well,
We're still not gonna approve that letter yet, so go ahead.
Fletcher Coddington was there, who was on the ZBA, if you might recall. And he made a comment about the Indiana bat and cutting down the trees.
Mm,
And what he said, if you cut down the trees, the Indiana bats will come back next year at the same place. And there's no trees for them, so it's probably not going to go very well environmentally for the Indiana bat. And he questioned that, but that's what the law says. The law says you can cut down the trees if you want to, but hopefully we or the planning board will, be consideration of the environment, the species in the area, and not do that. We, again, it's not me, we, the government in the town, can say you can't cut down those trees
mhm.
because it's environmentally hazardous to a species that's endangered.
And there is a law about clear cutting and
So that's an
Guiding the
important
number of
thing, for
trees.
us. That's our mission. One of our missions is environmental concerns. And I personally would be very concerned about it. Doing something that hazardous to a species that relies on a certain part of that environment. And then there's the bog turtle, which is under investigation still. The only problem with that is who is investigating the bog turtle. I believe it's somebody hired by the applicant to do that. So it'll be similar to what we observed, what I felt I observed. I'm not saying I did observe it, but I just felt I observed it, where the person who was hired by the applicant is going to favor the applicant's point of view. That's only an opinion. I'm not saying that will happen. I don't want to be pejorative, but that normally tends to happen in the real world in practice in many cases. And because sometimes you have another person come. The reason I say that is sometimes in observation, you see another person coming in, qualified person, like a Michael Clemens comes to mind, for example. And they have a different opinion than the town or the applicant. So the same thing can be looked up by two qualified people, and they could come up with different conclusions. And so that worries me a little bit, what they're doing here. At the moment, nobody has discovered a bog turtle. I'm going to say there's a good chance they'll find habitats, because they want to mention that otherwise, if the habitat wasn't kind of there already in the preliminary, when they looked at this. There's an odd catch with the bog turtle. I asked that question, didn't get an answer. This is sort of like a humorous rhetorical question. According to what I know from previous experience, if you find a bog turtle if the government finds a bog turtle on the property, and you ask them if there's a bog turtle, the Shannon might know more than I do on this, and the agency will not tell you, even if they know the bog turtle is there. So because they don't want the public to know where the bog turtle is, because they're afraid something will happen to the bog turtles then. So if they find the bog turtle and they tell the town planning board that there's a bog turtle, it's now in the public record. I just thought that was sort of a odd thing to have to handle. How do they do that if you're not supposed to say where they are?
I don't know. DEC told me that they just tell you if there's a significant protected species there. They won't tell you which one it is.
Oh, okay, well, that would solve that problem, but they specifically have somebody there who's going to find a bog turtle or not. So what does that person report? I just thought it was kind of a catch-22 situation.
It is.
And that is the other thing that I put in the notes for discussion for us, that there may be more, but their architect talked for about 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
As you know, when she was here, she knows what she is talking about, and she mentioned a lot of things.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you. We'll get on with watching that video as well.
Sure.
So we'll approve the September 19th letter. Is that the date?
The 18th.
18th letter, sorry. And motion to approve,
I'll make the motion.
David, and second,
Second.
Shannon, and all in favor?
Aye.
So moved, so that is now approved. And then we'll, I was reading ever so briefly the cluster subdivision on there, so we'll review that.
So do we revise our letter to more
I think
direct,
I think it's probably maybe,
more directly addressed? But do we have a formal request from the
Not
planning
yet.
board? So
just that we just have the verbal from the
For the
meeting.
meeting
So
far.
Susan may be emailing me this week.
okay, so then we would
And I
just-
will reach
Or
out
you
to
can
her.
reach
I'm
out
gonna
to
reach
her.
So
out
we
to
would
her.
just rewrite the September 4th letter.
Yeah. Just. Alrighty, thank you, Howard, again. And any new open questions, concerns? Anything? I did want to mention thanks to David and Nan again, as usual, for all of the emails you forward and keep us abreast of the information from the DEC and
That's
everybody.
the amount of our inbox into yours.
Thank you, though. It keeps us all abreast of what's going on. All right, anything else? No? Good. Next meeting, November 6th. Thank you. Can I have a motion to,
Motion to close.
and a second?
Oh, so you're not having public comments?
Well, no, we just did.
No, well,
No, you asked each other. You didn't say if there's anybody. So I wasn't going to say anything.
say
No, I didn't
public
say actually public. Do you have any public comments?
Yeah, I thought you were talking amongst yourselves, so I didn't, and still in your meeting. I didn't want to intrude.
All right, go ahead. This is the open floor for public comments.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to comment about the cluster subdivision comments. I didn't really understand them fully enough and hadn't researched them before I went into that meeting. So my comments were that I understood their perspective about clustering, but I didn't know how relevant it was but my opinion is that I don't think that land should be subdivided at all. Of course, that's, not anything they're going to do, but that's definitely, I think it should have been in a protected environmental zone a long time ago, and that's been well established by a lot of things. So I think I have talked to people since that last night that said that clustering can, and I understand now what you and Pam and everybody are saying, that it's designed to be more protective of the land, and I don't think they understood it that way. I think people were reacting to thinking there was a cluster of buildings close together in a corner, and that would look weird. That was really, it wasn't presented as a way to protect the open space, but I think what you guys are saying that if you do conventional, that if there is some protection in perpetuity, that's absolutely, highly important. So it wasn't that nobody, I didn't say I was for conventional at all. I said I was for no subdivision at all. So the other thing is that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife memo I sent to you in terms of the bog turtle protocol, I had done some investigation and asking them, because I've been through this before on adjacent land a long time ago, but the protocol, and there was an email I sent to all of you. Did you guys get that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I just didn't know if that was anything anyone had any comments on, or if that was how that was going to be dealt with, but that was part of what I wanted to mention about the Fish and Wildlife, stating that they needed to review and approve the protocol, or they recommended a certain type of protocol, and they went on to say other things about different online tools you can use. So I just wanted to put that in the record, and I don't know if that's something that was useful or not.
Well, I had a question that came to mind as you were speaking. I assume that the people that have to approve it are the planning board or the town board. Should we be suggesting to them that they make sure that they include that in their review? If it's from another government agency, which may supersede town law, actually.
Well, they seem to indicate, when I underline part of it, that the report does indicate, he looked at the reports online from the applicant. I gave him the online applicant material, and he said their reports indicate a suitable habitat potentially exists for 3 species, and we would recommend appropriate surveys be conducted at the appropriate times. Survey methodologies should be submitted to our office for review and approval. We recommend only qualified surveyors conduct the surveys, and that the results be provided to our office. So that's what that memo says. So
I was bringing up, we as the CAC, the environmental group, say that we strongly support whoever the planning board or the whomever look at that. That's a recommendation from us that they strongly consider that.
I think one of the letters in the most recent supplement said that there was going to be a special bog turtle study.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, well, the problem with that is that the AKRF, they did say, the AKRF people said Erin wasn't there last night, but the person there wasn't sure. She did indicate she wasn't sure it's the same. It's sort of an initial study. I don't know if it's the same protocol and methodologies that U.S. Fish and Wildlife would recommend. It sounded like they were doing sort of a basic, simple little bit further than they've already done, but not necessarily. It wasn't clear that it was the same protocol that they're talking about in this email. That's all I'm saying, so. And again, it's the developer doing all the work. There's no independent biological assessment. What I've recommended twice is that there's independent biological assessment, and no one's hearing that or wants to do it. So the entire meeting was controlled by the developer and their consultants. And they got volumes and volumes and lovely material that no one independently has gone through. I guess if you want to consider AKRF, and it's not really, I don't consider their biological review an authority at all. And there are issues around what they do. They're a big corporate firm in White Plains. I think that there are much more independent biological reviews that you can get. And I keep recommending that, and they keep, not doing it and listening to only the developer. And I think in terms of the cluster explanation, I don't really think anyone understood what the cluster explanation was, because I've never seen a open hearing on this I've never seen anything done like this before, where they were looking to decide what kind of subdivision they're going to do before they have any biological assessments. So, and there were maps there with no driveways on them, so you don't even know where anything's going to be. And there's very little definition of building envelopes in the code. So there's a lot for them to learn. So if you wanted to add something to your letters, and, obviously this is just a suggestion, no one has to listen to, but if you wanted to mention something in your letters about cluster and educate people about what the real meaning of the cluster subdivision is, that'd be great. Other people have told me that law is written, the cluster subdivision law, to mean that they could put one lot in, that to be flexible. It doesn't mean all the houses are clustered together, but you could pick one or two lots and put the rest in a permanent easement. So I think that people probably don't, and I didn't at the time when I was speaking last night, know the variations that can be made through the cluster subdivision law. So I think that's, it's worthwhile to at least explain that to people. But you understand a lot more than anyone else would have there. Anyway, that's all.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you. All right, back to, anybody have any comments after that? Or is that,
And we do need to clarify at some point what the last thing we all saw was that they were going to do a review.
yeah, I
and
was
there's
just,
gonna
I
be a
was
survey.
pulling it up. It took me 2
Yeah.
minutes to, actually 10 apparently. And it does, yeah. They're gonna do that study and let everybody know. Yeah.
Do you want anything about the smart from us?
Oh, yeah. Could you give us an update on that?
Yeah, we're in the process right now. We had a meeting this past week on Friday to pretty much take stock of where we are. And right now, I'm in the process, along with Genevieve, primarily me, to try to pull all of the filing materials together for the different actions and pledge elements. We believe we have over the 120 that we need for on status, but of course that's pending, trying to get everything be able to be actually written up
And uploaded.
etc. Which is going to be quite an amount of paper to deal with, but we're fairly confident we can get this done by January, which is the next time we can apply.
Oh, right, that's right. Good. All right.
That's the plan. Also, I agreed to be chairperson for the Climate Smart Communities in 2025. Genevieve wants to be, all our present committee members want to stay committee members. Eldar Shumanov said he would like to join, so he's currently on the Shade Tree Commission. He wants to join. So we'll be keeping all of our members, and then obviously we have to have regular meetings. So we'll be doing that in 2025. But that's the focus for now, trying to get the filing done by January.
All right.
So,
Cool. Good. Thank you. All right. Not much to report about the town CSC, just, we have another meeting coming up soon. Next week, I think it is. So I have nothing to report till after we meet.
our next meeting is going to be October 30th, I believe.
Oh, okay.
When is your meeting, Margaret?
Don't know exactly right this moment. It's next week. Don't know. Have to wait till I look at my phone again. Sorry. It's a Zoom meeting. That's all I know. I gotta see the Zoom.
I think our next meeting may be Zoom at this point to
Yeah,
accommodate people's schedule.
We're meeting
We were
with
live last
somebody.
week, but, you know,
I gotta find the
let's see.
email. All right. Okay, is anybody got anything else, or we'll go back to,
Town budget, anybody interested in going to the town budget meetings? They sent out something officially. I don't know if everybody's on their email list.
I don't know if I've seen anything on it.
Chrissy sent out something, probably on their website too.
Yeah, I'll go and look. I haven't seen anything on the budget to my knowledge.
They're 5:30, but I don't remember all the days. There are different days. Runs about a month, about 4 or 5 of them.
All right.
But if you're interested, you can find that information pretty quickly.
Alrighty.
It's on the town website somewhere. That website is not the easiest website if you're not familiar with it.
We're getting used to it. Slowly but
It's there.
surely. It's there. We're getting used to it. All right. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
See you next month.